Missoula police made 4 arrests in less than 2 hours over Wednesday night. Most were methamphetamine related. Police spokesman Travis Welsh said the first arrest occurred around 11 p.m.
Officer responded to the 1200 block of West Broadway, where it had been reported that there was a female inside a business there that had an outstanding warrant for her arrest. The officer responded to main contact with 31-year-old Savannah Stickney. She was taken into custody and transported to the Missoula County Jail, where she was found to be in possession of methamphetamine.
About 2 hours later, police arrested 38-year-old Jake Kaufman, 18-year-old Taryn Galloway, and 20-year-old Jack Kennedy. Police pulled the trio over because the driver, Kaufman, had an expired license. However, officers found a whole lot more than just a traffic violation.
During the course of the investigation, the officer learned that Mr. Kaufman was on probation. He was arrested for a probation violation as well as possession of dangerous drugs. Mr. Kennedy had an outstanding warrant out of South Dakota that was extraditable, and Ms. Galloway was arrested for providing false identification initially and also for possession of dangerous drugs.
All those drug charges were meth-related. Kennedy may prove to be the biggest public threat. His warrant from South Dakota says he's wanted for an assault with a weapon involving a handgun, grand theft auto, as well as drug charges. A former Fort Peck tribal police officer has pleaded guilty to stealing drugs and money from the tribe's Drug Investigations Office, which has compromised more than 24 criminal cases. The Great Falls Tribune reports 33-year-old Mikkel Derek Shields entered his plea yesterday before District Judge Brian Morris in Great Falls, sentencing on the burglary charge set for June 14th. Court records say Shields was working for the Fort Peck Tribal Police in September of 2017 when he broke into the Fort Peck Tribal Law and Justice Building and used a crowbar to get into the Drug Investigations Office, where he took opiates, methamphetamine, and cash. The break-in was captured on surveillance video. Federal prosecutors say as a result of Shields' actions, the tribe was forced to dismiss 27 criminal cases. A report by the Montana Environmental Information Center and Environment Montana states that in one instance, Western Energy's Rosebud coal mine in eastern Montana allegedly exceeded the allowed amount of pollution into area waterways by up to 19,500%. Sky Borden with Environment Montana listed in a press conference yesterday there were at least 3 instances that the Rosebud mine exceeded allowable pollution by 500% or more.
The first one, they dumped 7,000% of their permit amount of iron into the waterway. The second time, it was 3,500%. And the last one was particularly extreme. The highest that I've seen in looking through the database is 19,500% of the solids that they were allowed to dump through their permit.
Ann Hedges with the Montana Environmental Information Center said the coal strip units 1 and 2 are due to be decommissioned in the next couple of years. And yet, Western Energy has made several requests to expand the mine's capacity.
The mine is looking for these really large expansions right now. And if you look at the numbers that they provided to the federal government to justify the expansions, it looks like 1 and 2 aren't even closing because they are anticipate mining exactly the same amount today as they will be mining after the closure of 1 and 2.
Hedges speculates the owners of the mine want expansion, thinking they can export the coal overseas. Democratic senators who supported the banking bill that recently passed the Senate have come under fire from others in their party for backing changes in rules that were meant to deter a repeat of the 2008 financial crisis. 16 Democrats joined Republicans yesterday in passing the measure. One of those, Senator John Tester. He's facing a tough re-election campaign in a state that voted for President Donald Trump by 20 points 2 years ago. Critics say the legislation, which must pass the House, will ease regulations on more than 24 large financial institutions and increase the risk of another collapse. Tester's justification for supporting the bill mirrors that of the White House. Legislation will provide relief to small banks that must comply with the onerous rules in the 2010 Dodd-Frank bill. On Tuesday, May 8th, Missoula voters will be asked whether or not to vote for levies that will impact Missoula County Public Schools. According to MCPS Superintendent Mark Thane, who appeared on Talkback yesterday, population growth in the school system is driving the request.
We are asking for a voted levy in both our elementary and our high school districts. And just to frame a context, since 2011-12 school year, our elementary district has increased by 611 students. Our high school district has started to see those increases after years of decline, actually. So over the last 3 years, our high school enrollments increased by 104 students.
Thane explains how the levies, if passed, will impact the taxpayers who live in both districts.
You live in both districts, so your students are served by MCPS K-12, which is the vast majority of our students. The net effect of passing both of these levy requests would be $2.69 per $100,000 of assessed value, or $5.38 per year on a $200,000 home.
The general voted levy for the elementary schools will be just over $305,000. For the high school levy, just under $170,000. As Congress reconsiders its budget again this month, all three Montana delegates to the U.S. House and Senate are urging the passage of secure rural schools and payment in lieu of taxes, that's SRS and PILT, for counties adjacent to federally managed land. Mineral County is composed of 82% federal lands. Commissioner Roman Zalawi is worried about what to do next.
The county doesn't have any real economic means other than a sawmill, which depends on the Forest Service to provide timber for it. So for all the federal acres, their payment in lieu of taxes funding in the past has been around $216,000, $220,000 a year to Mineral County.
Mineral County received PILT funding last year, but not SRS funding. Lack of that funding was over $1 million setback for the county, which had to dip into reserves.
Neighboring county of ours is running a special $1 million mill levy for their road department because of missing SRS funding. Mineral County has, I think, the third or fourth highest unemployment in the state, and our poverty rate is like 17.9%. So with 4,200 residents, and most of them are low income, but we haven't even thought about raising taxes at this point. But if it continues as it is, we're gonna have to do something.
The funding would normally be approved in June, which gives counties a relatively short schedule to approve their own budgets, respectively. Western Montana counties like Sanders, Ravalli, and Mineral have a higher percentage of federal lands than nearly every other county in the entire United States. Our News Talk time now is 6:12.
Newstalk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station. Mostly cloudy skies this morning with a few isolated showers. By the afternoon, high temperatures will be in the upper 40s. Tonight, overnight low temperatures in the 20s. We'll see a wintry mix of rain and snow on Saturday. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster for KECI 13.